I want to introduce myself. My name is Allie. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've been practicing in Boston for the last 5 years. And so we'll be here today for a program on lower back pain. It is a 30-minute program. It is mostly movement-based. So we'll do some stretching, some strengthening, and then we'll talk a little bit at the end about ergonomics, and we'll leave time for Q&A. So I know a lot of people tend to have questions about their specific situations. You guys can write any questions you have into the chat at the end. I will review them all. So you can write throughout the whole class. Because we are such a nice small group with this 5-star class, you guys can unmute yourself at the end and we can also have a little discussion. So I just want to make sure that you guys know this class is for you. It's for you to feel good. I offer a number of modifications from making things easier, making things harder. So please take what feels the best for your body. Your body is different than mine, different than your neighbors. So take what feels good for you, and that's how you can get the most out of this class. So with that being said, we're going to start down on the mat. And if you guys are just signing in, you just need a space to lie down. You can grab a small pillow, is optional if you want to have that nearby. So go ahead and lie down. Find a comfortable position on your mat. And maybe having your knees bent, feet flat is better for your back. Sometimes it can be a lot of pressure to have your legs fully extended on the mat. So if that's the case, go ahead and bend them. Just rest your feet down. And allow your spine to just comfortably melt down onto the mat. So I know for many of you, this is maybe towards the end of your day or partway through your day. Take a moment to just settle in, letting go of what's happened throughout your day so far, and allow your shoulders, your back, your hips to find heaviness on the mat. Start to scan your body from the very top of your head down to your shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles, and just notice any differences you feel from side to side, any spots of tension. For now, just notice them. Know that there's no right or wrong. As you notice how your body is feeling on the mat today, see if you can tune your attention into your breath and where your breath is going. And start to imagine that breath going down low into your belly, maybe even wide out to the side in your rib cage. Notice if your breath is up high in your shoulders. If it is, just notice it and see if you can draw your shoulders down away from your ears, filling the deeper parts of your belly and your rib cage with air. Our breath is really important to both relax muscles and engage some muscles that support our spine. So finding that movement early on in class will help you to deepen some of the stretches we do later. So I encourage you guys to take one more deep breath there on your own pace. And I'm going to join you down on the mat to add in a little bit of movement. So once you're here, if your legs are all the way flat, go ahead and bend both of your knees, resting them down comfortably on the mat. From here, we're going to start by introducing a very gentle pelvic motion to get some movement in our lower back. So we're going to start to rock our pelvis front to back. So very gently, if you can imagine the space under your lower back, you're going to close that space and then open it. Close the space and open it. And you're working within your spine's gentle range of motion. This might be the first movement you've done for your lower back all day. So it's okay if it's small, it's okay if it's stiff. Just work within what your body is allowing at this moment. But hopefully, as you continue to rock the pelvis front to back, you start to feel it loosen up and get a little bit bigger. We're going to try about 3 more like that, and 2, and last time. From here, walk your feet together, walk your knees together, and allow your arms to just gently rest down by your side. We're now going to start to introduce some rotation into our lower back. So very gently, rocking the knees side to side. and you're only letting your knees go over as far as you can without feeling any strain or soreness in your lower back. And you might find one side's different than the other. That's okay here. Just notice it. And it's okay for your hips to lift here, but try and keep your shoulder blades down on the mat. So that's what your arms are here for, to give you a little bit of extra pressure and support to keep your shoulders down. We'll try about 3 more like this. And last 2. Good, guys. Last time. And then come back through the center. Go ahead and separate your feet once again, back to that hip distance apart. And then walk your feet in towards your bottom, close enough so that you can touch your heels with your fingertips. So once you're in that setup, we're going to prepare for our first strengthening exercise today, which is a bridge. And that's to strengthen our hips or our glute muscles. Our hips play a big role in supporting our spine when we bend over, when we lift things, when we walk up and down stairs, even just regular walking. So from here, go ahead and lift your hips up to the ceiling and just hold it for a moment. Bring your hands right to your glutes, your butt muscles, and see if you can feel that they're working. Sometimes our lower back likes to do the work that our glutes should do. Now, if you feel strain in your lower back, bring your rib cage down a little bit. So feel like you're closing your ribs towards your hip joint. From here, we're going to roll the spine back down and then roll the spine back up. So if you could imagine your spine like a string of pearls, you're going to curl and pick each pearl up one at a time and then place them back down in the same spot that you picked them up from. This might also start feeling quite stiff. This actually is quite a stretch for your spine. Work within what's comfortable, but continue to lift and lower those hips up and down. I'm going to come take a peek at your form. You guys can continue with that hip roll up and down. And I'll just see here. You guys look great. Anthony, you can bring your feet a little bit closer together. Good. Trisha, nice form. Good articulation there. Maria, push under your big toe a little bit on both feet. Good. We're going to try one more just like that. And then settle all the way down. Now, if you guys have taken my class before, or you've done some of these movements before, we're going to progress and try a single leg version. If this is new for you or that already felt a little bit tricky, you're going to do a second set of those hip rolls up and down. For those of you trying the single leg, go ahead and lift your hips up to the ceiling. And we're going to bring one leg up to tabletop. So I have my right leg lifted. I want to make sure that both of my hips are at the same height. Maybe you just hold this. Otherwise, lower your left hip down and lift. So even though it's my left hip that's lifting and lowering, I'm actually thinking about lifting my right hip up to the ceiling to give myself that nice level pelvis. 2 more. And one more time, drop it down, drop your right foot down, take a quick rest. We'll go ahead and lift to the second side to bring that left leg up. We start to lift and lower from here. I really like to use these single leg bridges to give myself an honest answer about which one of my hips is a little weaker than the other. This will quickly reveal that and quickly show you maybe where you need to spend a little bit of extra time. We'll try 2 more. And last time, drop your hips down and take a rest. Nice job, guys. So that was meant to target the back side of our body, so the muscles supporting our spine from the back. We're now going to work on the muscles that support our spine from the front, our core. So bring your right knee in towards your chest, and you're going to gently hug that knee in. You should feel just a gentle stretch, but not a pinch in the front of your right hip. From here, straighten your left leg. Now, if this feels like pressure on your back, lift it up higher towards the ceiling. If it feels really easy, you're going to lower it down towards the floor. Holding this position, we switch the legs. And then again, we switch the legs. So while we're moving our legs here, I want you guys to imagine that I could balance a very full teacup right on your stomach. So your trunk is not moving at all. It's just your legs moving in space, separate from the rest of your body, pushing and pulling in opposition. We go for 4, 3, 2, last time, hug both knees in for just a moment. We're gonna progress, but if that felt good for you, you can stick with that version. The progression is gonna be to reach the right leg up straight and the left leg down straight. You're gonna hold as high as you can on that right leg and then switch the legs and switch and switch. So with this straight leg version, you get the added stretch of your hamstrings, but you can probably feel how it's a little bit more challenging for your core because your leg is reaching a little bit farther away from your body. We go for 5, 4, 3, 2, last time, hug both knees in towards your chest, and then gently rock yourself on up to a seated position. Nice work there, guys. So once we're here, bring your hands about 6 to 8 inches behind your bottom and push your chest up tall. So actually use the pressure of your hands behind you to really hold a tall, proud spine. From here, you're gonna cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So just holding this might already be a stretch in your right hip. What you can do is either slide your left leg away from you to decrease the stretch or in closer to you to increase that stretch. So you're using that left foot position as sort of a guide for how much of a stretch you feel on your right hip. Notice if your shoulders have started to sag, try and press them up tall and proud. Now the reason we're stretching the outside of our hips is because our hips so closely move and connect with how our back moves. And so the looser our hips are, the less stress and strain our lower back feels. So we're gonna take one more breath here. And then if everyone can straighten your left leg and let your right foot rest down on the floor, we're gonna do a very gentle spine twist. So the outside of my left hand comes to my my right shin, and I open up the right arm behind me, finding a spine twist. Now notice if twisting, you've become slumpy. Use your back hand to keep pushing you up tall, keeping your spine long as you twist. We'll take one more deep breath here, and then come back through the center. This time, hands are still back behind you, chest is still proud. Our left ankle goes on top of our right thigh. And you can walk your right leg away or in close until you feel that spot where it's a stretch, but it's not painful, it's not sharp or pulling, just a stretch. And you may find this side is quite different than the other, that's okay. I'm gonna come up and just take a quick peek at everybody's form here. From a distance, you guys all look good. I love the adjustments. Trisha, see if you can slide your left leg out a little bit farther to the left. The other direction. Yep, just a little bit that way. Yeah, there you go. Good. Okay. All right, and we'll take one more deep breath there. And then we're gonna allow the right foot to come down. Bring your right hand outside of your left thigh and open up your left arm behind you, coming into that gentle spine twist. And again, try to work like your spine is as tall as it's ever been, lifting up long. Good. And then we'll come out of that. So next up, we're gonna go right onto an all fours position. So we're gonna find ourselves hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Now, if you get in this position and you have any knee sensitivity, you can add a pillow underneath your knees, or you can pad yourself by adding, rolling up your towel or your mat a couple times. If you would like to modify for wrist sensitivity, you can lower onto your forearms. Okay, so just find what's comfortable for you. We're gonna continue to work that hip mobility by drawing giant circles with our spine. So I'm shifting the weight from my knees my hands, and from one side to the other. So if you can imagine, almost like you're moving around the world in a big giant circle. And you might find that you can't really go quite as far in one of these directions. We're going to quickly change direction here, changing that circle to the other side. And just notice how that feels different. Try and keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe press your hips back a little bit farther. You might get a little bit of clicking even with this, and that's okay as long as it's not painful. Just work within your spine's range of motion. 2 more. And last time. Good. From here, we're going to lower all the way down onto our stomachs. Now, for a lot of us, laying flat on our stomach, that alone can be a bit of a stretch. So if you already feel pressure in your lower back, put a pillow underneath your hip. You can also try separating your feet a little bit to take some of that pressure away. Now, this is a position of extension. And extension is the opposite of how we spend most of our time bent forward over our desk in flexion. So we're going to add to this stretch a little bit by placing our hands underneath our shoulders and starting to lift up your back. And you want most of the work to be in your hands. So your arms are doing the work to allow your back to relax. And then you can start to make this even bigger if your spine allows, lifting all the way up to stretch the front side of your body. This is one of my favorite back stretches because it is so different than the way we spend most of our time bent forward. So it really opens up the front of our spine. It opens up our hip flexors. It can feel really, really nice. Notice if your shoulders are hiking by your ears. Do try and keep your neck long. And think of shining your heart forward as you try this one. We'll do just 2 more. Good, guys. And just one more time here, lift up, stretch, and then press your hips up and back. Now we're going to go into a child's pose or shell stretch. So as much sitting back as you can tolerate, and then allow your arms to walk forward. Maybe you even let your forehead rest down on the mat, and just feel that stretch into your lower back. Try and send your breath up high into your rib cage, expanding your ribs to the ceiling. Take one more deep breath there. And then we're going to come on up to an all fours position again. So we're actually going to build up into doing a little bit of movement through plank. I'm going to show you guys 2 different options for your plank. Either is fine. Just take what feels the best for your body. So you can do a full plank up on your hands and toes. You can also do a plank down on your knees and hands, or on your forearms and your knees. Okay, so any of those combinations is fine. We're not going to hold the plank for very long. We're actually going to add in some movement. So when you guys are ready, go ahead and set up in your chosen plank position. And once you're there, imagine your whole spine growing longer. We're now going to lift the hips up, press back, find a gentle stretch backwards, and then shift forward into the plank. If you're on your knees, you're pushing back into that child's pose and then shifting forward to the plank. Pressing back and shifting forward. We're going to try 3 more, feeling that nice stretch through our hamstrings. Last 2, all the way back to that plank. Last time, we're going to finish with a 10-second hold of that plank here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down. Nice work there, guys. So we have bent our spine forward, we've bent our spine backwards, and we've twisted our spine. We're now going to move our spine sideways as kind of our last spinal movement. So I'm sitting now with my down on my left hip with my legs off to the right. You're going to open up your arms and take up space. I want you guys to find the biggest wingspan you have ever had. Imagine like you're sitting up against the wall, your spine is nice and tall. And then we're going to start to windmill the arms up and over. and just let yourself move here. This can feel kind of fun to take up space and let your body be free for a moment. And just, again, still work within your spine's comfortable motion. If this bothers your shoulder, you can always bend your elbow a little bit more and still get that nice sideways spine movement. We're gonna do 4 more. And 3. Beautiful, guys. I love the movement. Last 2. And we're gonna hold the next time our left hand goes over. So my left hand's on the floor, right arm is reaching overhead. Good. Okay, so from here, you're gonna twist your chest towards the floor, tap your right hand in front of you, and then open it back up to the ceiling. Twist your chest down to the floor, tap your right hand, and you may not actually be able to get to the floor. That's okay, just angling your hand and your chest down. This is now a stretch of rotation into our upper back. So if you guys remember from earlier in class, we did rotation for the low back. Now we're doing rotation here for the upper back. We'll try 3 more. Good, that's it, guys. Last 2. And 1 more time here, open up. Good, we're gonna bring our hands behind us and kick our legs around. So now we're sitting down on the right hip with our legs off to the left. Awesome. Okay, so from here, once again, take up that space, find your biggest wingspan, and we'll start our windmill up and over. Another analogy I like to use here is imagining the side of your spine like an accordion. You're opening and closing that space on the side ribs every time you windmill the arms up and over. Good. We'll try 4 and 3. Very nice here, guys. Last 2. Good. 1 more time. And bring that right hand down, left hand up. From here, you're gonna spiral, rotating to tap your left hand towards the floor and then open back up to the ceiling. So you're turning your chest down to face the floor and then opening your chest up. I'm gonna come take a quick peek at this one. Continue trying that rotation there. Beautiful, guys. That's it, Mitchell, very nice, good. Nice, Bree. You guys all look so good on this one. Very good, Kavya. We'll try 2 more. And last time. Good. All right. So the last stretch we're going to do today is for our hip flexors. And our hip flexors are a really important muscle to think about when we consider back pain, because they start below the knee, they come all the way up, and they insert on our lumbar spine. So they go right through our stomach and insert on our lumbar spine. When they are tight, they might be pulling on our lumbar spine all day. So I'll show you guys a stretch here. The first one I'm going to show you is kneeling. So bear with me for a moment. If kneeling is uncomfortable for you, I will show you a modification. So we're going to set up, bringing our right foot forward. So like a 90-degree angle at the right leg and the back leg. From here, you want to square off your hips. So you're going to rotate your left hip forward, right hip back, and pick your chest up tall. You want your spine to be really tall, not quite bent forward. From here, you're going to start to bend into your right knee until you feel the stretch in the front of your left hip. Now, if you're still not feeling that stretch, pick up your chest a little bit taller and tighten your left glute muscle. Now, for those of you who are sensitive to kneeling, you can do the same stretch standing, okay? So you just pick up the back leg. I recommend doing this holding on to something, because it does, you can just hold on to a wall, but you need to be a little bit relaxed there. So we're just gonna hold this for 1 more big breath in and 1 more big breath out, and we'll swing the leg back around. Good, so we'll set up for the second side. This time your left foot goes forward. You're gonna rotate your left hip forward, your right hip forward, left hip back to square off your hips. Pick up your chest tall Engage your right glute muscle, and then bend forward slightly into your left knee until you feel the stretch across the front of your right hip. And it should be just a stretch. It shouldn't be painful. If you feel this in your lower back, try and engage your core lightly. That should help take some of that soreness away from your back. And just take a breath here. Again, if you're doing this in the standing position, it looks like a low lunge. I know my head is trapped off in this view. And you can hold onto a chair or a countertop here. Good, and then we'll press out of that. Awesome, guys. So I want to use the rest of our time today to talk a little bit about ergonomics. And every week I usually pick a different topic to discuss. So today we're going to talk a little bit about standing desks. I think it's kind of a hot trend in the office, and I've had a lot of people ask me about, should I integrate that at home? How do I integrate that at home? So I think the answer for most of us who have lower back pain is yes, a standing desk is a good thing. But how to integrate it is a little bit more contested in how to use it. So what I have found to be the best thing is to find the highest surface in your house. I've had people use ironing boards, a high countertop, a desk, a table, and then add boxes or shoe boxes, even reams of paper, until you can build up your screen height such that your screen height is at your eye level. And so for a lot of us, that is much, much higher than you would traditionally think, or you might set up your space. But having it at the eye level ensures that you're not looking down and therefore spending that time in flexion, even though you're standing. Now, the expectation that you would go from sitting 8 hours a day to standing 8 hours a day is like running a marathon with no training. Your body has to build up some endurance to do that. So what I recommend to start is trying about an hour a day. And it doesn't even have to be an hour at once. Maybe you do 10 minutes of each hour, or you try the morning part of your day, you do 30 minutes, in the afternoon, you do 30 minutes. But allow your body to build up some endurance slowly. I hope what you guys take from this class on top of that is that our bodies, our spines especially, they really like to move. They don't like being in one position for a long period of time, even if that position is standing. So I hope that you guys can take a couple of the favorite stretches you had from today, the ones that seem to work really well for you, and integrate them in small bits throughout your day. You don't have to do the whole 30 minutes at once, but you can take one or two of those stretches, do them once every hour or two, throw in a minute or two of stretching. So those little bits, they just break up your day. They add in a little bit of movement for your spine, and they reduce the buildup of stiffness over the course of the day. So with that being said, I would love to answer some of your questions. I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourself. All right. And if you guys can also stick around after I answer some questions, I will show you how to use the feedback app. I would love if you guys can give me some feedback on how this class went, what you liked, what you thought could be better, so I can make this class as best as it can be for you. If you also would like to write your question in the chat, you can do that as well. I'm going to sit up here a little bit for you guys. Mark, you look like you might have a question. I'm going to unmute you.
There we go. Yeah, I have a right here. It's an inversion table I've used in the past. That was good for like a lot of kind of upside down and rotation. That's been helpful. I just don't know if there's any kind of danger or overuse.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the danger from those devices really comes from other medical conditions, like if you have high blood pressure, for example, you would want to get clearance from your doctor before you use something like that. But relative to your back, if your back is worsened by compression, then that deloading will help quite a bit. Some people have back pain because their backs are unstable, and that's sort of a different situation. In that case, that probably wouldn't feel quite as good. I would recommend being evaluated by a physical therapist or a doctor to say whether or not it's appropriate for you. But I think a lot of people find it to be a really nice stretch.
That certainly has been the case, yes.
Thank you, Mark.
I have to go. I have a 3:30, but it was
no problem. Thank you guys for joining. Any other questions? Kavya, I'm going to unmute you. And Bria, you're next. I saw your hand too.
Yeah, I have one question. So if we just follow like one or two of these, should there be any counter exercises we should be following just to relax those muscles which we use to stretch?
Sorry, let me make sure I understand your question. So you're asking, are there counter stretches in addition to the ones that we've done today?
Yeah.
Yes, I think there are a lot of different stretches you can do for your back. And in fact, I change this class pretty much every week with different stretches. So this is just a smattering of a couple that work, within the 30-minute time frame. But there are certainly many others. I think I just encourage you guys to move your back. So whether it's Pilates or yoga or walking or boxing, all those things are good for your back. And one is not better than the other. It's just keeping your spine flexible, keeping yourself moving, staying strong.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Sure. Bree, I'm going to unmute you next.
Do you have any recommendations about how to integrate children or maybe schedule it into your day? I'm a stay-at-home mom, which means it's even more hectic right now for a 15-month-old.
God bless you right now.
So trying to find, time in the day
yeah,
to do
that's
this
a great
is kind of
question.
hard.
I think, it's depending on the age of your kids. Some of these things you can get kids kind of engaged. They can be kind of fun, and you could see if they could even do them with you. But even, it doesn't have to be a high volume of this stuff. Like I said, you don't need 30 minutes. You need like 1 or 2 minutes. So if you can even just like put a sticky note on your refrigerator or something, like every time you walk by, you see it and you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do one of those stretches. Even if I only do it for 10 seconds, that repetition over the day, it adds up. And so it doesn't all have to be at once, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but the little bits throughout the day, they add up. In a couple of my classes before, I've done a few standing exercises, so those might be worthwhile. I'll try and throw some of those in again next week so that they're things that you don't even have to get up and down from the floor.
Cool.
And my videos, you can probably go back and see those on the community page under my instructor name.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. Sandy, I saw you raised your hand. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi.
Hi, Sandy.
So I wanted to find out, when we do the windmill kind of moves, I'm not able to keep both knees bent. The outer leg, I have to partially unbend it, and straighten it just a little bit to even be able to get that stretch. Is that likely if I continue to work on that to get to a point where I'm able to bend both knees, do you think?
Yes, definitely. That comes along with the way I talked about how our hips and our back are so closely connected. That's probably more of a hip tightness than a back tightness, but that stretch actually targets both your hips and your lower back at the same time. So I think it will get better as you practice it, but maybe even integrating a little bit more hip stretching will make that more flexible. But that's very common. A lot of people have stiffness in that range of motion.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Good.
it's not a bad modification to make either. That's a great change to put there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.